Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Visit My Mosque Day here at Mahfil Ali. This event is part of a national initiative organized by the Muslim Council of Britain. It's taking place today at this time in over 20 mosques in the country. And the idea is really to open up doors and allow the public to come in and see this place of worship, meet us, listen and hear about our culture, ask us questions, probe us, and really just open conversation, which is very, very crucial at this time. This campaign has received a lot of coverage in the news today. It was on BBC News, ITV. There is speculation that Channel 4 News or Al Jazeera might be coming today. So we've had quite a lot of coverage, and the idea is that we want to spread the message of peace at a time where there is so much strife politically. I won't keep you for very long. We'll start with the recitation of the Holy Quran by Khadija Ghulam Sain and Muhammad Asaria. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون وأوفوا بعهد الله إذا عاهدتم ولا تنقضوا الأيمان بعد توكيدها وقد جعلتم الله عليكم كفيلا إن الله يعلم ما تفعلون.
In the name of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Surely Allah enjoins the doing of justice and the doing of good to others, and the giving to the kindred, and He forbids indecency and evil and rebellion. He admonishes you that you may be mindful. And fulfill the covenant of Allah when you have made a covenant, and do not break the oaths after making them fast. And you have indeed made Allah a surety for you. Surely Allah knows what you do.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين بالقسط شهداء لله ولو على أنفسكم أو الوالدين والأقربين إن يكن غنيا أو فقيرا فالله أولى بهما فلا تتبعوا الهوى أن تعدلوا وإن تلووا أو تعرضوا فإن الله كان بما تعملون خبيرا.
O you who believe, be maintainers of justice, bearers of witness of Allah's sake, though it may be against your own selves or your parents or your near relatives. If he be rich or poor, Allah is nearer to him, is nearer to them both in compassion. Therefore, do not follow your low desires, lest you deviate. And if you swerve or turn aside, then surely Allah is aware of what you do.
وَإِن طَائِفَتَانِ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ اقْتَتَلُوا فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَهُمَا فَإِن بَغَتْ إِحْدَاهُمَا عَلَى الْأُخْرَى فَقَاتِلُوا الَّتِي تَبْغِي حَتَّى تَفِيءَ إِلَى أَمْرِ اللَّهِ فَإِن فَاءَتْ فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَهُمَا بِالْعَدْلِ وَأَقْسِطُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُقْسِطِينَ.
And if two parties of the believers quarrel, then make peace between them. But if one of them acts wrongfully towards the other, fight that which acts wrongfully until it turns to Allah's command. Then if it turns, make peace between them with justice and act equitably. Surely Allah loves those who act equitably.
يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير.
O you men, surely we have created you of a male and a female, and made you tribes and families that you may know each other. Surely the most honorable of you with Allah is the one amongst you most careful of his duty. Surely Allah is knowing, aware.
Now I'm just going to hand over to one of our trustees of the organization, Mr. Riaz Ismail, who will be giving you a short summary of what we do here at our center, as well as plans for the Salam Center, the building that you can see behind me. And I'm sure you'll have lots of questions for him after the program. Thank you.
Friends and neighbors, my name is Riaz Ismail, and it's my pleasure on behalf of the Shia International Community of Middlesex of Mahfil Ali, also known as the Salam Center, to welcome you all here today. I send salutations upon the Prophet and the family of the Prophet. Peace be upon them all. By the name of God, the most kind, the most merciful, I welcome you all with the salutation of salam, or peace, and my prayer is that you all may be blessed by his bounty. Let me begin by apologizing, and as a Muslim I've been asked to do a lot of that recently. But I apologize for the temporary nature of our building here today as we continue with the construction of the Salam Center. But perhaps we can look upon it as a metaphor. We can look upon it as a metaphor, the transient nature of our life in this world, with the hope and aspiration of our success in the next life, whether we call it heaven or Jannah or Shamayim or Nirvana. And indeed, that is the point. Whether we are religious or not, we all use an ethical framework to make moral decisions with a universal aim to be that person who is good, who is kind, who is courageous, who is forbearing, and who upholds justice and never usurps the rights of others. And therein is the premise. If the destination is the same and the aspiration is the same, isn't it incumbent upon all of us to be more tolerant of the path that each individual takes to get to that destination? We are all very grateful for the opportunity of this Visit My Mosque initiative to be able to show you that as Muslims who live and work alongside you in Harrow, in London, in the United Kingdom, we actually do have exactly the same aspirations and values that you have. So for me and for the congregation that attend this center, today is just about that. I'm going to give you a very quick presentation of the activities that happen in this center and that we hold here, but then I really would like for this to be an opportunity for a conversation, for us to talk, and perhaps an opportunity for us to understand each other a little better. So with that, we just look at the slide presentation that we have behind us. There are a whole series of slides, and what I'm going to do is just basically tell you that there's activities every day. Like for example, every Monday we have a Quran class, which actually looks at how we pronounce Arabic and how we can improve upon that. On Tuesday, there's a yoga class here. On Wednesday mornings, toddlers and parents and toddler group, which is really very, very effective. We have upwards of 20 to 25 mothers and children coming. Thursday night is a very special night for Muslims because that's Thursday night and Friday, the day of Friday, are the equivalent of our Sabbath. So these are the times which we concentrate in prayer. On Fridays, we have very interesting and regular lectures here at this center. The range of these is quite extraordinary. We had just recently a lecture on palliative care and the moral responsibilities that we all have at the end of life. We've had a series of lectures on the moral economy, looking at how injustice and inequality result in a poorer quality of life for all of us. And a whole series of other lectures which may not directly be involved in addressing religion, but again, looking at that moral framework that I talked about earlier. On Saturday mornings, we have a tuition classes here for O-level students in English and maths and various other subjects. And on Sunday mornings, we have breakfast every Sunday morning and a prayer session every Sunday morning. And then that's followed by sort of an interpretation session, an interpretation of the Quran, where we go through various verses and try and understand them a little better and try to understand the Quran in its own context. And the hermeneutics of the Quran are really quite an interesting subject because there are various methods by which it can be interpreted by itself, by subject, and by reference to contemporaneous issues. So that gives you a whole range. Our Friday programs, which going back to those, they're all recorded. They're all on our YouTube channel. So if there's anything that you've missed or you'd like to come back to go back to, you can always search for those on the YouTube channel that we have. You can, if you want to know in advance about the lessons, about the lectures and all the programs that we have here, you can visit our website, www.CISM, which stands for SICM, Shia National Community of Middlesex.org.uk. You can sign on there for regular emails, and then you'd be aware of all the programs that are happening here. So please, just out of interest, if you want to look at those, feel free to do that. We just have the next slide. So we have a large range of lecturers here from all over the world, as you can see, and then we're going to very quickly flick through these slides, and then we'll put them on a rolling presentation so that you can look at them later and ask questions. But just quickly going on to the next slide, what we do is, again, cover a number of challenging topics. They may even be controversial, but it's really important for us to actually bring them out in the open and discuss them, because I think that really is very important. We have a range of speakers, again, for those kinds of issues. Moving on to the next one. We also have a homegrown base of speakers that we invite from time to time, and these are all people mostly born and brought up in the United Kingdom who have developed a special knowledge that we actually avail ourselves of. So they're very popular, and we do invite them. And we invite numbers of academics from up and down the country who've addressed us, and from abroad as well, and come to have special sessions with us. And we invite people from the media and politicians as well if there's a relevant topic that we want to discuss. I think Gareth Thomas is mentioned on here. He's coming, hopefully he'll be coming here today, and I want him to apologize for the bad performance of the Harrow football team, which has lost 4 of its 5 last matches. But we carry on. So then, to going into human rights, and these are the human rights activists who've spoken here. Moving on to the next one, and as well as religious leaders who have come and spoken to us on various matters of jurisprudence, history, and the knowledge of religion as we understand it. We have held conferences here as well on a diverse range of subjects which we can talk about. And moving on to the next one, and this slide will actually show you the history and our development. I think the key issues that I'd want to bring up in terms of our history and development is that this center has always, since inception, had all its lectures in English. So it makes it easy for everyone to understand, and we think that's really important. We think that it's very important for the youth in our communities to be involved in the actual running of the center. We have, in terms of the management, we have an executive committee which has got the full authority to run this center and take all the executive decisions that are required, and everyone in that executive committee is between the age of 25 and 35. So a very young group, dynamic group that actually runs the center for us. The other very important thing for us is gender equality. We make sure that there's places for both men and women in all the activities that we run, and that permeates right through the management of the organization as well. So you will see again on this slide how we've actually developed over the years and how we aim to change the nature and the mechanism of our programs so that it becomes more relevant to the current age with the use of social media, etc., etc. Moving on to the next slide. Again, lots of joint interfaith activities, both within Islam. We have excellent relationships with the Harrow Mosque, which is a Sunni mosque, and we're a Shia mosque. Not that you'd know the difference in Harrow, they work so well together. And of course, with all the local churches, synagogues, and so on, we have excellent and very well valued relationships, which we want to continue with. Moving on to the next slide. Again, we've supported national and international projects, and we can talk about those on a one-to-one basis. But I think one that I'm particularly proud of is that we were one of the main contributors and people who actually set up Sufra, which is a food bank which looks after people who have temporary difficulties and make sure that they have enough food to eat. Moving on to the next one. And of course, as any responsible faith-based organization, we do work very hard to alleviate poverty and disaster all over the world. We help other groups who may want to build projects similar to ours in the Salam Center, and moving on to the next one, and internationally and in the UK, and moving on. So this actually shows you a representation of how we believe the Salam Center will be. The Salam Center is your center. The Muslim community of Harrow opens its doors, but more importantly, opens its heart to you. Please come in and feel at home. Thank you very much indeed.
And now for one of the final parts of the program, I want to talk a little bit about our interfaith and charity social action work that we do. It's quite important to us, and myself and a few others here are responsible for connecting to local communities in Harrow. And one of the communities that we work very closely with is St. Albans Church, which is just literally up the road, and as well as North Harrow Methodist Church. We're also responsible for relationships in Pinner. So Pinner Three Faiths Forum, and a lot of the Pinner churches we're all together as part of a group that meet on a very regular basis. So we meet approximately every month and a half to 2 months, and we discuss issues that are of concern to all of us, what our communities are up to, and we work together on different projects. Today we're honored to have David Tuck, Reverend David Tuck, who is someone that we've been working with for a very long time and is a very close friend of our community and who has supported us. And I'd like to invite him to come up here to talk for a few minutes about what we've done together and what he hopes for the future of Salam Center in Harrow.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here this afternoon, and I'm very glad to be here for 3 reasons. I'm David Tuck, and I'm one of the clergy at St. Albans Church. But before I begin, I'd just like to pay tribute to say how much I've enjoyed the Friday evening lectures here, though you did say how easy they were to understand. When we had a lecture on Islamic developments in Southeast Asia in the light of French structuralist philosophy, I was stretched, I have to say, and I don't think I was the only one. I'm very glad to be here for 3 reasons. First, on the really base level of being inquisitive. We're all interested in new buildings as they go up. And it's lovely to see your project coming off the ground, or just about to come off the ground. And we shall be very delighted when it is complete. I wonder if I'm too cheeky in asking if we could actually peek through the window and actually see what's happening at some time before we leave this afternoon. Rumours can be a lot worse than the truth about new buildings. It wasn't very long ago that the Roman Catholic Church down the road, St. John Fisher, decided it was time to complete their building. The contractors arrived, and I heard from several people how sad it was that the Roman Catholics were leaving North Harrow and knocking their church down. In fact, what they were doing was extending it. So it's really good to be here and hopefully to have a peek at what's actually happening. I don't know if, like me, you're nosy, but certainly I've stood nosily outside building sites in central London and been very pleased to peek through those little panes in the in the fencing around the edge and just wonder, I hope I'm not being too cheeky, whether Mahfil Ali might consider pandering to my nosiness so that we can look through and see what's actually happening. I'm sure it will actually build up local support and help to dispel rumours. I think that's an important thing. The second thing is the reason why I'm very glad to be here is because my church and Mahfil Ali have been growing in mutual respect and understanding and cooperation over the past 5 or 6 years, I suppose it is. We began sitting very stiffly and suspiciously across a table and eyeing each other with great uncertainty and speaking to each other with unbelievable politeness. We have actually moved on from there, and we meet regularly, as Zara said just now, every couple of months. We study together, we talk frankly, we're beginning to become friends, and we're doing things. And if you're interested in cooking, you might like to come to the Interfaith Bake-Off, which is being held, I must say, without Mary Berry, at St Albans Church at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. And we've had a most amazing response. A lot of people are joining in and cooking. There will also be a lot of eating at the end because there'll be a lot of things that have been judged and otherwise sitting on the table. The third reason why I'm very glad to be here this afternoon is I want to stand alongside my Muslim sisters and brothers at a very difficult time for you and for us, following the dreadful things that happened in Paris, the deaths of Jews and of journalists, those who worked on the magazine Charlie Hebdo. We're in the middle of an intense debate about free speech, a very precious feature of life in the West. You'll remember, I'm sure, President Roosevelt at the end of World War II, or at least has read his speech, saying how central freedom of worship, freedom from fear, freedom from hunger, and free speech were absolutely central to what it meant to live in the West. Very precious and very uncomfortable. My own newspaper has been publishing deeply insulting cartoons of Pope Francis. All Christians are very upset and hurt by those cartoons. What should we do? Should we try to stop them being published, or should we bite our teeth in the cause of the preciousness of free speech? But I have to say, I think that satire always should be the weak exposing the strong and the powerful, not the other way round. Does the sort of stuff that Charlie Hebdo was publishing meet that criteria? I think not. So I'm very pleased to be here this afternoon at this meeting, and around the country, of course, many mosques are opening at the instigation of the Muslim Council of Great Britain. And I was very pleased the other day to be at Regent's Park Mosque, where Muslim leaders spoke out with great conviction against and called on Muslims to follow them in condemning the dreadful things that happen in Paris, and to be pledged to work together for growing respect, harmony and cooperation in our very diverse Great Britain. We've got, as has been said earlier, a very good record in Harrow, but we're not immune from these forces of extremism. This is a dangerous time for all of us. So I'm very pleased as a Christian to be here in solidarity with my Muslim brothers and sisters. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Tuck. And I am very happy to say that it's the end of the official program. So you can now enjoy, have a conversation, have some tea and biscuits, and that's the whole idea, is to talk to each other. And if you have any questions or any concerns, please speak to any of the volunteers and we'll be happy to help you. But thank you very much for coming, and we look forward to seeing you here soon.